Hi, welcome to thetimelinemachine.com. I am your host, the Timeline King. This is the show where all that have happened this past week, whether it's 10 years, 25 years, 50 years, etc., etc. So let's begin. This is episode, and for this episode, we'll be looking at all the anniversaries that happened from June 26th all the way up until July 1st, 2023. So we'll be looking at the anniversaries, 10-year anniversaries, 25-year anniversaries, 35 years, 50 years, etc., etc. So let's begin. So the first one we'll get to is on June 26th. So this is 75 years ago. This is June 26th, 1948. We have the release of the short story The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, which was published in The New Yorker on this day. Now, I should let you know that during this podcast, I'm probably going to give spoilers for like all these materials that are like decades old. So if you don't want any spoilers, just avoid them right now. You can still follow us on our Facebook and social media feed. But for right now, I'm just going to go into spoilers. So basically what The Lottery by Shirley Jackson is about, right? You have this small town. Every year they do a lottery, right? And then you in this town, everybody gathers around, all the town citizens. So and all the slips of paper that are handed to everybody in the town, right? And one of those slips contains a black mark. So whoever opens the slip and finds a black mark, they're the ones that lottery. And the penalty, what they get in return for having that slip, they everybody else in the town then gangs up on them and starts throwing stones at them. The person effectively dies. Now, the reason that this town does it is so that they can have a good harvest in the fall. So the story takes place on June 27th, and its main purpose is like, hey, let's kill somebody in the town, and we can have a good harvest in the fall. Now, this is actually a very good story. I highly recommend checking this out if you can find it online. It's not that long. It's only a few pages, so you can get through it. And I think it does do a good job of like building tension. So in terms of that, and the lottery aspect is really just an allegory for like a lot of things that happen in our life. Sometimes we're just holding on to traditions that have happened in years past, centuries past. And we just don't really understand why we're still continuing. Even in the story they've mentioned, a lot of towns have just stopped doing lotteries and nothing's happened to them. So, but this town, they're still adamant about continuing the lottery because they feel like it would bring them good fortune in the fall. So for that, I recommend checking this story out. So happy 75th anniversary to The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. Okay, and then also on June 26th, it was the same day as the lottery, actually. So this is 75 years ago, June 26th, 1948. We have the film debut of actress-singer Doris Day. Doris Day is one of the most famous figures in Hollywood, in the golden age of Hollywood. So, and she made her film debut in Romance on the High Seas, which you can check it out. That's a great musical movie. It's probably available on like Turner Classic Movies if you want to check it out. So, and yeah, she pulls in a good performance. Now, Doris Day was a singer, so she got famous as a singer, but this is like her first film role. And yeah, and I mean, she has a great voice, great appearance, and so happy 75 years to Doris Day's film debut in Romance on the High Seas. Okay, then also on June 26th, this is 50 years ago, June 26th, 1973, we have the debut of the Marvel Comics character called Brother Voodoo. So Brother Voodoo, he made his debut today in the comic book Strange Tales number 169, which hit newsstands on this day. So the character is a creation of writer Len Wein, artist John Romita Sr. John Romita Sr. sadly passed away last week. Editor Roy Thomas and publisher Stan Lee. So he definitely has like a good creative team behind him. So back in the early 70s, there was a lot of like blaxploitation in cinema. So you had characters like Shaft. I'll get to Cleopatra Jones in a minute. So a lot of these things were very popular in cinema, and the comics tended to incorporate that. And you would notice in the early 70s, they would introduce like a lot of like black characters. We had Luke Cage I think a year before this, and then now we had like Brother Voodoo. Now, unlike Luke Cage, which has kind of gotten exposed in the mainstream through the Netflix show, Brother Voodoo has not been incorporated yet into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I think it's only a matter of time. given that they're mining the well, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a Brother Voodoo film eventually. Now, currently, Brother Voodoo is known as Doctor Voodoo because he took on the strong Sorcerer Supreme title from Doctor Strange, or at least that's how it was last time I checked. Comics change so much; it's hard to keep up with anything. So if we ever get a movie based on this character, they might end up going straight to Doctor Voodoo instead of Brother Voodoo. But yeah, happy 50 years to Brother Voodoo. And then another comic book character that debuted on the same day, again 50 years ago, June 26, 1973, we had the debut of the Marvel Comics character Killmonger. So he premiered in the comic book Jungle Action number 6. So, and he was a creation of writer Don McGregor and artist Rich Buckler. So Killmonger, unlike Brother Voodoo, he did get exposure when he was the main villain in the Black Panther movie, where he was played by Michael B. Jordan. And yeah, and it was the same thing. This from the beginning, he's always been an enemy of Black Panther, and they kind of like adjust the story a bit in the movies, but yeah, he's always been like against against the traditional Wakanda, and I think in the beginning he was just more of like a regular villain, but like later decades they really do add depth to his character. And that's what makes him notable today. And Killmonger in the movies, he's considered like one of the best Marvel villains. Even though I felt like Black Panther itself was a so-so movie, I really did like Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, and I thought he did do a good portrayal. And enjoyed seeing Killmonger again in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So happy 50 years to Erik Killmonger. Okay, and then next, also on June 26th, this is 25 years ago, June 26, 1998, we had the film Dr. Dolittle. So this is the Eddie Murphy version of Dr. Dolittle. Dr. Dolittle, it's been adapted a bunch of times. I think the most famous version prior to this was the one with actor Rex Harrison, which was done in like the 50s or 60s. So this one... So this one they adapted into the modern day. Eddie Murphy is playing Dr. Dolittle, but this one, it doesn't really have anything in common with the original books by Hugh Lofting. This Dr. Dolittle, he lives in modern day San Francisco. He's a veterinarian. He speaks to animals. You cannot, other than from talking to animals, there's nothing that you can tell that this would be related to the source material. So I like this movie, but I would say just treat it as its own thing. Don't expect it to be an adaptation of the Dr. Dolittle books. So, but yeah, happy 25 years to Dr. Dolittle. And out of all the Dr. Dolittle adaptations, this is the only one that has gotten not just one sequel, but I think they made like 3 other sequels to this. So there was one that was actually theatrically released with Eddie Murphy coming back, and then you had like 2 I think were straight to video after that. So this one got like 4 movies. So you really got to commend, like, even if they didn't stick to the source material, they made a good movie. So we got to commend them on that. So happy 25 years to Dr. Dolittle. Okay, so next we get to also on June 26th. So much stuff happens on June 26th. So this is 10 years ago, June 26, 2013. We have the decision in the Supreme Court case United States versus Windsor. So this one declared that 1996's Defense of Marriage Act to be unconstitutional. And the reason for that is that it violated the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment. Yeah. And then, so the way that this case came is that this lady named Windsor, right, she wanted to get her partner's property like after she died. So their marriage was legal in one state, but it wasn't considered legal federally. So if she wanted to get like her spouse's like federal Social Security money, and they wouldn't allow her because at the federal level, same-sex marriage was not considered legal at the time, but this case made it legal. So it used to be that if you got married in, let's say, Massachusetts, your marriage would only be legal in Massachusetts because it was a same-sex marriage. It wasn't recognized by all 50 states. But now this made it so that even if you're married in Massachusetts, you would be recognized all over the country as being legal. So this was like a major stepping stone towards LGBT rights and same-sex marriage rights. And then eventually, like in 2015, you would get Obergefell versus Hodges, and that would legalize same-sex marriage in all 50 states as a constitutional right, like as the Supreme Court's interpretation of the constitutional rights. Now it's funny, like while this was going on, the Supreme Court ends up knocking down another one. But I mean that's beyond my scope. This is not a political channel for me to get into that. Let's move on. So next, let's go to June 27th. This is 50 years ago, June 27th, 1973. We have this is Live and Let Die, the James Bond movie. So this is the eighth James Bond movie in theaters. Okay, and this is the first film that stars Roger Moore as James Bond. So previously, Sean Connery played the role. Then after that, George Lazenby took the role for one movie, and now Roger Moore is James Bond, and he would play James Bond for 6 additional movies. So as far as the official film series go, Roger Moore is the longest James Bond with seven films under his belt, and this was his first movie. Now, Live and Let Die was actually the second book that came out. Casino Royale was the first book that came out. Live and Let Die was the second one. Now, they didn't get, as I mentioned earlier, like blaxploitation was very popular in the early 1970s. So this was like the James Bond franchise's way of capitalizing on that trend. I guess the producers must have looked at the series and like, oh hey, we have a book where Bond goes to Harlem, where Bond interacts with the black community in New Orleans. Let's adapt this movie so we can ride the wave. And you know, I gotta say, I really like this movie. I think it's one of the best Bond movies. I also think it's one of Roger Moore's best Bond movies. I would probably say it is the best. No, actually, no. I think the Spy Who Loved Me is Roger Moore's best Bond film, but I really like this one too. So, and Jane Seymour is in this as a Bond girl. So, and she's been active like in the 50 years since. So yeah, I would say if you have not checked out this movie, I would say definitely check it out. And I think it's the only Bond movie that actually acknowledges some supernatural elements, because you know, you have like voodoo and you have voodoo and stuff in there. So they do try to give explanations for it, but like some stuff is kind of left open to interpretation as whether it's real or not. But check out this movie. Happy 50 years to Live and Let Die. Okay, and then also 50 years ago, June 27th, 1973, we have the film White Lightning. So White Lightning stars Burt Reynolds, but this isn't about White Lightning. So actress Laura Dern actually makes her screen debut in White Lightning, which came out 50 years ago, June 27th, 1973. So she only appears in like a scene. You can see the screenshot here if you're checking our feed. And so she's 6 years old at the time, and she plays the daughter of her real life mother, Diana Ladd, who's like a main character in the movie, the love interest of Burt Reynolds' character. So there's not really much to comment on. Like Laura Dern doesn't really have a performance here for me to say like, oh, she's good or bad. She's also 6 years old. What can she really do? But you know, I think. But you know, we have to give a testament to like what her career has become since then. She's famous for playing Ellie Statler in the Jurassic Park film. She was also in Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So she's been in a bunch of stuff, and like her career like began on this day with this one movie. As far as White Lightning itself goes, I definitely like that. I definitely like that movie. I recommend checking it out. Both White Lightning and its sequel Gator are available for free to watch on Tubi, so you can check it out. And you know, it's definitely much more like a southern, back of the woods like action movie. But I think it has some cool action. It has some memorable moments, and I liked it. Even though the movie's 50 years old, I had a good time with it. So I would say check it out. Have happy 50 years to Laura Dern's screen debut in White Lightning. Okay, and then again, let's go to June 27th. So this is 25 years ago, June 27th, 1988. We have the formal inauguration of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. So this is officially open, and the first flight out is Malaysia Airlines. Yeah. So reason I included this, I've always wanted to check out Kuala Lumpur. It's on my bucket list, and I thought, when I saw that this was an anniversary that was happening, I wanted to include it. So if anybody's planning on going to Malaysia, just know Kuala Lumpur Airport is 25 years old this week. So yeah, happy 25 years to the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. And then also on June 27th, again 25 years ago, same day, June 27th, 1998, we have the birth of actress Sistine Stallone. So she's the daughter of Sylvester Stallone. So she's the second daughter, and then she's been in a bunch of. She's only been in a couple of movies. So she was in 47 Meters Down, Uncaged, and she was also in Midnight in the Switchgrass. So she's tried her luck in acting, but I don't know what it is. Whether like her talent isn't as good, or maybe she's just she hasn't had enough high-profile films. I wish she has not had the same kind of success that her father has had. I enjoyed 47 Meters Down Uncaged, though I thought that was pretty good. I can't say her performance was like the best in that one, but I enjoyed that movie, so I wanted to acknowledge. I think she's the Stallones are like doing some kind of show on like Apple. So if you want to check her out, she's probably in that. So happy 25th birthday to Sistine Stallone. Okay, and then also same day, 25 years ago, June 27th, 1998, this is the Disney Channel original movie You Lucky Dog, which premiered on this day. So officially, this is considered the second Disney Channel original movie. The first one was Under Wraps, which came out late the previous year, October 1997. So Kirk Cameron stars in You Lucky Dog, right? And the story about this is that he's able to telepathically communicate with dogs, and then that allows him to like have a career as like a pet thing. Actually, I forget what happens in that movie. It's been such a long time since I've seen it, but I guess that goes to show the movie isn't really that good if I can't remember much from it. I also didn't really see it replayed that many times. When I was a kid, because you had more prominent movies like Brink, Smart House, even Under Wraps got replayed a lot more. But yeah, this one I have not seen that many times. It's available on Disney Plus if you want to check it out. But I would say if I don't remember it that much, it probably isn't that good. But anyway, regardless, happy 25 years to You Lucky Dog. Okay, now let's move on to June 28th, finally. This is 10 years ago, June 28th, 2013. We had a few movies that came out. We had a film called Some Girls, stars Adam Brody. Then we have The Heat, which stars Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy. And then we have White House Down, which is Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I can't really recommend any of these movies as like great movies. White House Down is like a Roland Emmerich film. He's the guy who did Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow. Now while those films are just like fun popcorn movies, I don't know. It's just there was just something about this one that didn't really make me enjoy it. So yeah, I think it's just better to skip it. There's not much to say about any of these. So. But happy 10-year anniversary to Some Girls, The Heat, and White House Down. Okay, now also on June 28th, this is 75 years ago, June 28th, 1948, we have the birth of actress Kathy Bates. She was born Kathleen Doyle Bates in Memphis, Tennessee. And and like if whether or not you know her by name, Kathy Bates has been in a lot of stuff. I think she was in Titanic. She's been in a bunch of other things that I cannot name, but yeah, I mean she's been everywhere, and you can definitely tell she's had like a long career. She won an Academy Award, 2 Golden Globes, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, 2 Emmy Awards. And it's she's had a great career, and she's probably one of the best actresses in the business. So happy 75th birthday to Kathy Bates. Okay, also on June 28th, this was 50 years ago, June 28th, 1973, we had the Arthur C. Clarke novel, Rendezvous with Rama. So Rendezvous with Rama, it's a science fiction novel. So this is set in the year 2131, and this is when humanity encounters a starship that they call Rama. And I guess like it's called Rama because Rama's a Hindu god, and this kind of like evokes, the gods are coming to visit us. But yeah, this book I really liked, and there've been a couple of attempts to like adapt it into a movie. I think like Arthur C. Clarke is like a great science fiction writer, and if you like 2001: A Space Odyssey, like this is probably like a good book for you that you would like. So I would recommend checking this out. Yeah, and there've been a couple of attempts to like adapt it into a movie. I think Morgan Freeman has tried to do it for a number of years. But yeah, I mean, if they can somehow like pull this off, I think this could really be a good movie. I think I think it would probably be more under the level of something like Dune. So if you like Dune, I think you can end up liking Rendezvous with Rama. So yeah, happy 50 years to Rendezvous with Rama. And then also on June 28th, 10 years ago, June 28th, 2013, Mickey Mouse, a new TV show on Disney Channel, premieres. So this one, Mickey Mouse, it kind of harkens back to like the original cartoons made by Walt Disney. So these are like 7-8 minute shorts, and yeah, they would run for 5 seasons, 96 episodes. And yeah, this kind of just goes back into the classic style of like Mickey being a trickster and humor, and that's what I really like. It kind of just gets a little more like slapstick funny. There's not really any continuity with these shorts, so you can just like choose a random one and just check it out. Like, there's some episodes where like Mickey and Minnie are dating, and then there's other episodes where like they don't even like each other. So, and then some episodes, they're out into space. Some episodes they're like in fairy tale land. So it's I think it's good. It's definitely something that me as an adult, I still enjoyed it, but it's definitely more geared towards a younger audience. But I think these are really good. So yeah, check these out. They're all available on Disney Plus if you want to see them. Happy 10 years to Mickey Mouse. Now let's move on to June 29th. This is 35 years ago, June 29th, 1988. We have the film Coming to America by John Landis. So yeah, this is like a famous Eddie Murphy movie. So, and this obviously you can tell by the title like what it involves. He's an African prince. He comes to America, and then it's a fish out of water story, and as the culture clash ensues. So Eddie Murphy's parents in this one, I forget the actress's name, but the king is played by James Earl Jones, right? And then so him and the actress who plays his queen, right? They would also come back to play like. Mufasa and Sarabi in The Lion King. So I thought that was like a very clever casting gag. So yeah, this is and this is a good movie. It's been enjoyed by a lot of people. They made a sequel recently, coming to America, the number two, that premiered on Amazon Prime. I think there was also an attempt to do a TV show at one point. Obviously, that didn't succeed. But yeah, I think this is a good movie. I would recommend checking this out. So yeah, happy 35 years to Coming to America. Okay, and then also on June 29th, this is 25 years ago, June 29th, 1998, we have the launch of the Lifetime Movie Network. Now, I cannot imagine like how many Lifetime channels there are. You get Lifetime, the original Lifetime Movie Network. I think Lifetime Real Women came afterwards. Yeah, so there's like a bunch of stuff, and I guess a lot of it is like they say that television is more aimed at the female demographic because women are the ones who tend to stay at home more, look after their kids. So, I mean, you can understand if a channel like Lifetime became popular, then they would launch the Lifetime Movie Network with just like films aimed at women all the time. Now, obviously, I'm not the main target demographic, but for Lifetime Movie Network, I've seen a couple of the Lifetime movies. I think they kind of just all follow the same standard formula. Woman is getting abused by her husband or significant other. She spends like 90 minutes crying about it, but then in the last minute, she finally decides to take advantage of her life. So yeah, I mean, the stuff has an audience. I can't knock it. So happy 25 years to the Lifetime Movie Network. And so next one, this is on June 30th. This is 10 years ago, June 30th, 2013. We have the release of the TV show Ray Donovan. So Ray Donovan premieres its first episode on Showtime. So and this was considered like the biggest premiere in Showtime history. At that point, or even now, like, because I don't think there's been anything else that has done by now. So this Yeah, so this was the biggest premiere in Showtime history, and this show ended up lasting for 7 seasons and 82 episodes. So yeah, and this Ray Donovan is basically like a killer for hire, so or like a mercenary for hire. He's just some guy like who helps get people out of like tough situations. So and yeah, and every episode is just like a new case for him to deal with. Yeah, I mean this is a really good show if you want to check it out. I think you can catch it on Paramount Plus. They have all the episodes, so this is definitely something that you would want to see. So yeah, happy 10 years to Ray Donovan. And let's move on to July. So we'll go on to July 1st. Actually, before we do that, the first thing we should note is July 1973, 50 years ago, we had the end of Dell Comics. So Dell Comics published their final issues. So, and the last release of Dell Comics was Alvin number 28, Combat number 40, and Ghost Stories number 37. Now, some of the younger viewers who are listening to this channel might not know what Dell Comics is. Now Dell Comics is like one of the early comic book publishers, right? So they started back in the 1920s. They're actually older than like Marvel and DC. So they started in the 1920s, and Dell collaborated on like the original like early comic books. I think like Famous Funnies is considered the first comic book that came out in like 1933, and like Dell worked on that. Prior to that, they were doing like newspaper inserts and stuff. So Dell's kind of like specialized in like children's entertainment. They kind of help build the comic industry. Now Dell's most of its success was through like licensed comics. They licensed like the Disney characters, the Hanna-Barbera characters, and yeah, and they ended up making a lot of money. Like, and their shows, their books were so popular. I put down like at one point they had a circulation of 26 million copies. And that was like I think in the 50s. So they were considered like the top comic publisher at that time. But I don't know what happened. Like by the time you get to 1973, their sales just tanked so much. And then in 1973, they only had like 3 titles left, and these were the last three. And then Dell kind of like stopped publishing. I think they were technically still in business for like about another year, so they didn't like formally shut down until 1974. But yeah, I mean like pretty much the company was done at this point. And I think a lot of it is because like Disney like didn't work with Dell anymore like after the 60s. So Disney taking away Disney and Hanna-Barbera also left. They started working with Gold Key, and then that ended up taking away a lot of Dell's business. And then like whatever original titles they have, they just weren't big money makers. And also around the same time, like Marvel was getting back into the superhero business with like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, whatever. So same thing with DC, like getting the Justice League, Flash. So Dell wasn't really surviving in this market where superheroes were once again becoming dominant, and eventually like Dell just ended up closing its doors. Yeah, but it's a shame. So I guess 50 years we commemorate the fall of Dell Comics. Okay, and then last thing we'll get to today. This is 25 years ago. This is July 1st, 1998. We have the film Armageddon. So this is Michael Bay directed movie Armageddon. So now you might, if you have not seen this, so Armageddon is when like NASA says like, oh, an asteroid's coming. We have to send a team of to like destroy the asteroid before it can come to us. Now, but the thing is, like, they don't, the NASA scientists, like, they don't know how to, like, drill an asteroid, right? So they decide, hey, let's get a team of miners, people who know how to drill, train them to become astronauts so that they can go ahead and destroy this. So Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Steve Buscemi. So these are all, like, just, Michael Clark Duncan's also in this. So these are all just, like, regular miners, and then they get trained to become astronauts so that they can destroy this. Now this movie is just completely ridiculous. There's no like sense of like science in this at all. It is just like, you just kind of have to throw logic out the window in order to be able to accept this movie. That being said, I had a great time watching this. I think this is like one of Michael Bay's best movies. In fact, I think it's one of the best 90s action movies that came out. I really enjoyed it. You just have to kind of go with like, you just have to kind of go with the absurd, and I think you can have a good time, because I think a lot of the stuff it does well. The characters are believable enough. The characters are believable enough. The music is good, and I think it does what it intends to. It's not meant to be like a scientific documentary. It's just meant to be a fun action movie. And then yeah, and for that I really liked it, and it's something that I like still watch every time that it comes on TV. So yeah, check it out. Happy 25 years to Armageddon. And with that, we are done for the week. So yeah, so happy week. This is a 4th of July weekend that I'm recording this. So everybody have a good 4th of July weekend, and enjoy the show. And remember, keep rewinding the timeline. See you next week.